Good evening, class. This is Kathy Hodge from BSAD 320, Professor Poor's class, talking about problem solving, improving custom report estimates. To make a short story of it, some of our estimates for custom report projects in a software company context where customization is part of our brand, these custom reports are to display data for the customers in a customized way. And some of these projects can take quite a bit longer than we estimate. Others go very smoothly. So we used all the tools from this class to bring to bear on this problem. Imagine this is medical software. We're talking to very busy medical practitioners, some of them managing very large practices that span across multiple states. And we are taking up their time, saying that we can deliver something within perhaps a shorter time span. The client, meanwhile, frequently changes their mind. There are many factors that come to bear on this problem, but let's take a look using the tools of this class. The American Society for Quality maintains a webpage outlining key steps in problem solving. They are very specialized in this, in quality control and problem solving. Their first step is to define the problem, qualitative and quantitative data, to diagnose the root, to ask recursive why questions, trying to delve deeper. Further step involves identifying and implementing a solution, generating potential solutions, deciding on a solution, outlining steps to solve it. And although we didn't cover it in depth in this class, there are some ways to maintain and make sure this solution is really working. One of the things that we did early in problem solving was the fishbone diagram, something I thought wouldn't really contribute to any solution. But this interesting process brought to bear, this particular process, look at this, all of these stakeholders, all of these people involved. We have enterprise clients, small clients, we have clients familiar with the product, those who are new, those who are incoming, just planning the first stages of using it. Our earlier management had an emphasis on more exact estimates. Our current management says to do a more approximate estimate. So the time involved in estimating has to change. We have client need. Our clients have become more and more successful. We have taken on more and more large clients. We are a very successful company. And so our needs have changed. And all of this I hadn't really thought about until I did this fishbone diagram. So this was an amazing contributor to thinking through the problem and understanding all these factors. So how are we going to solve the problem with these complex factors in play? Well, I brainstormed with my team. They were happy to do it. We're not a company that has a lot of meetings, but people were happy to participate in a sort of email meeting and brainstorming session, and we had a lot of fun. We came up with ideas that would allow the client to see an easier mock-up, a tool to streamline creation of a spec. The client maybe could do it. We had ideas of a list of things to give them at the beginning, and a video. We had many different ideas. When I applied a convergent thinking tool that we learned in the class to this, it has to do with what is your important category. In this case, the responsible role was very important. What could the customer do in their role versus what we are doing in our very technical roles? Okay, so that another one was the devil's advocate list. Once you narrow it down, you've got the devil's. I'm only showing this for one solution, but you ask, why should this solution be implemented? You can ask, what are the weaknesses and risks of this solution? Who's going to resist? This is when I began to think about the fact we had to get management involved in this solution. I hadn't really thought that through before, even though I used to be in a supervisory role there. So finally, we have the criteria for ranking solutions that we learned, and we can bring up any criteria we want, but in this case, it was clear to me it needed to be user-friendly. It needed to clarify the specification. That's what often causes the confusion. It needed to be enforceable. Our management needed to say, this is going to be part of our products, part of customization, and get it into the steps for these particular types of projects. It had to be low cost so that it actually could occur. We learned a method of assigning values to this that add up to 1. Then we assigned the values 1 to 10 for various, various solutions and how they ranked with these different criteria. And by simple multiplication, we come up with a rank for the solution. The introductory document was user-friendly, clarified the spec in the sense that it would help the client to be able to communicate with us better in our language and their language. And it was enforceable. It's something that can be included in the project steps. So now how to implement it? Well, we learned a method of showing these steps related to each other and putting in those warnings, what could happen, what could go wrong, and looking at this a little more closely. If we're going to write it, a manager review is going to happen. We're going to have to wait for that. In each step, the only warning, we have a preview to make sure it's user-friendly. That involves another department that specializes in that and documentation. And we'd have to add it to the package, so upper management would have to get involved. So all of these things would contribute to some delay, but otherwise it was a good idea. Ethical considerations, honesty with the client means not overpromising and not belittling the client as if their needs do not matter. The reference there for the American Society for Quality is the asq.org website. And I want to thank the class and the professor for a wonderful class.